These cleric subclasses are endless. Better get on with them. Welcome to the Attic Dungeon. My name is Sam, and whether you want to plant a light or light a plant, I'm here to help you with everything. As always, I'm here asking for your humble support to my even humbler channel. If you like what I do, subscribe, leave a comment, click the bell. If you don't like what I do, send me to your worst enemies and tell them they have to subscribe to me. That way everybody's happy. Yes, some more cleric subclasses today because the list is endless. And even though the list is endless, I'm only doing 2 today. Why? Because the list is never a multiple of 3. I don't think there's any class whose subclasses in total are dividable by 3. So now and then I have to smudge the numbers a little bit to make it count in the end. Doesn't matter, we're having a look at the light domain and the nature domain today. In case you forgot, clerics get a whole lot from their subclass. They obviously get some stuff from their base class as well, like 9 levels worth of spellcasting and divine intervention, but they also get stuff at level 1, level 2, level 6, level 8 and level 17, and then at the first 5 levels of spellcasting, so level 1 through level 9, they gain bonus spells. So yes, they gain a lot from their domain. We'll start with the light domain because alphabetical order is still how we do this. It's a simple thing to know what the light domain stands for. It brings light to the darkness, period. All your light-based divinities are in there. Sun gods, moon gods could be in there, even though you can reserve those for the twilight domain as well. Anything with fire will work. You know, there's a lot of stuff you can use as your light domain god. What does the light domain do? It blows stuff up. Yes, this is the evocation wizard of the clerics. This is, going to correct myself, the first evocation wizard of the clerics. They have at least one more. They are going to be primarily focused on fire and radiant damage, which is okay because fire gets resisted regularly. It is the most resisted damage type in the game. So you will always have radiant damage to fall back on when the lava elemental in front of you appears to take no damage from your fireballs. It happens. As always, we start with the spell list. So your domain spells, they are always prepared once you reach the appropriate levels. This is not a bad spell list. There's a lot of stuff in there that is not cleric spells, and there's a lot of stuff in there to put stuff on fire. Who'da thunk, right? At level 1 you gain Burning Hands and Fairy Fire. I always like Fairy Fire. If you have the right party setup, Fairy Fire is a nice boost to attacking. Burning Hands is a flamethrower. Do with that what you will. There's Flame Sphere, Scorching Ray. At level 5, I told you there was an evocation wizard. You get Fireball. Whoop-de-doo. Now you're a cleric with Fireball. That means the only thing that clerics are supposedly bad at, which is large boomy spells, yes, there you are, you have them. So the trouble might be the party is still expecting you to heal and occasionally buff them, so please don't go spending all your spell slots on Fireball. Or spend all your spell slots on Fireball and tell those pansies to walk it off. Composure, Sam, composure. You also get Daylight, Guardian of Fate, Flame Strike, Wall of Fire and Scrying. Right. I think Guardian of Fate and Scrying are 2 spells that appear on the cleric list. All the others are... Oh, and Daylight, obviously. All the others are new. So there's a few cleric spells, but the other 7 are new to you. And that's a pretty good ratio. I've said this before. Getting access, there's like 2 things that I like in domain spells. Either you get access to a lot of good spells from other classes, or you have access to so many cleric spells that you can prepare the funky niche spells that help you now and then. That's like, and there's the in-betweens are not as good. This one is obviously, you get a lot of decent spells from other classes. Mind you, most of the spells just go boom. Though Wall of Fire can be used for some control, and Scrying is Scrying. You know, if you're looking for someone, go for it. You get another spell. Yes, at level 1 you also get light as a bonus cantrip. That means it's an extra cantrip. You don't have to spend the cantrip selection slot or whatever you call those on the spell. That's cool if you don't have dark vision or somebody in your party is blind as a bat. Then you have light. There you go. What else do you get at level 1? Warding Flare, which is basically a flashbang. If something within 30 feet is attacking you, you can use your reaction to impose disadvantage on the roll. You can do this a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier. It resets on a long rest. This is a nice defensive feature. Imposing disadvantage is not bad. Obviously, 5th edition has a lot of creatures with multi-attack and you will only impose disadvantage on one of those attacks, but still, you know, it gets the job done. It's a separate resource, so you can use it when you deem necessary. I don't know if I've just said it, but you can use it a number of times equal to a wisdom modifier, so that's not too bad, right? You'll be scaling wisdom anyway, because this is one of those caster classes, you know, so you should get 4 to 5 uses out of this by level 4 or 8, if yeah, that should be the latest point. Yeah. What does our channel divinity do? As always, clerics get a channel divinity, the one, you know, turn undead, and then there's the one you get from your domain. This one is Radiance of Dawn. It has 2 functions. The first one is to dispel any magical darkness within 30 feet of you, and it says any magical darkness. That's cool beans, you know, because magical darkness can be quite obstructive because you can't see anything in it, except for warlocks and shadow sorcerers, of course. But this is a great niche dispel. Cool. What else does it do? Oh yeah, 2d10 plus your cleric level worth of radiant damage if a creature fails a constitution save. If they succeed on the save, they still take half. Now, this is within 30 feet of you. It's each hostile creature as well. So certainly at low levels, this is an excellent damaging feature. At level 2, it's 2d10 plus 2, obviously, but let's say level 8, it's still 2d10 plus 8, which isn't horrible. Because you don't gain any extra dice on this feature, it doesn't scale terribly well into the late game, obviously. But still, because of the... I mean, on average, let's say you're level 12, on average you'll deal like 17 damage if you manage to hit a fair few creatures with it. It is still a nice chunk of damage without spending a spell slot. So it's a great low-level channel divinity. It's an okay higher-level channel divinity. The dispelling of the darkness, when it comes in handy, you'll be glad it exists. Level 6 is improved Warding Flare. It's not that special, but now you can use Warding Flare to protect other people as well. So that's pretty good. It still means that the creature that you need to see that performs the attack needs to be within 30 feet of you. It doesn't matter where the target is. So even if an enemy warlock who's got that funky Eldritch Blast invocation that turns it into a sniper rifle wants to shoot someone 200 feet away or yards or whatever, you can just Warding Flare the warlock. He will have disadvantage on the Eldritch Blast even if he's hitting somebody on the other side of the world, because you're flashbanging the caster, you're not flashbanging in front of the target, right? So that's important. You need to take into account where the attacker is, not where the target is. Level 8, no surprise here, you're gaining potent spell casting. Add your wisdom modifier to your cantrip damage, which is good fun, I suppose. Never forget, Tasha's offers you the option of having extra damage on both your melee attacks and your cantrips, but this cleric really shouldn't be melee attacking at any point. You just want to stand around in your medium armor and your shield and cast Sacred Flame and Fireball. Your level 17 feature is Corona of Light. Now, that word has aged terribly. Nonetheless, it's a decent feature. But unless your party is kind of built around it, it only helps you really. You can activate a certain state of being, an aura of sunlight that lasts for a minute. and you need an action to do so. And all the enemies in the 30 feet aura, wait, no, I have to see, there's, yeah, in the bright light, so that is 60 feet. Sorry, I had to read it for a moment. So you radiate light for actually 90 feet. 60 feet of bright light, 30 feet of dim light beyond that. All enemies in those first 60 feet have disadvantage on any saving throws against spells that deal fire or radiant damage, which obviously is great. You're basically saying everything around me has disadvantage against fireball, which is cool because you have fireball. But the ice-focused sorcerer in your party gets diddly squat from this. So if you're playing at high level and you are playing a light cleric, it might be worth tipping off the other spellcasters that picking up a fire or radiant spell might be worth it once you start activating the power of the sun in your hand. You know, it's just a friendly thing to do. How strong is the light cleric? Fairly strong. Obviously, you're a bit cornered by the fact that you have a reliance on fire damage, but you also have radiant damage as a backup. The defensive feature is okay. Your spell list is pretty good, so this subclass is going to work in any environment that is not hell. Literal hell will be a bit more difficult for you. So maybe not played for Descent into Avernus, but other campaigns you can get great mileage out of your light cleric. Then we come to nature domain. For some reason a lot of religious classes have gained nature domains, which is fun actually. You always wanted to be a druid without wanting to be a druid, because I don't like to play druids. So obviously nature clerics are an active cleric for a nature god. Druids usually are not organized into some form of active religion. Clerics are. So these are more active, pushy nature advocates. Great, you know, those guys at the protests. The spell list is obviously a mixture of druid and possibly a few ranger spells. It's also a mixture in how useful it is. You get stuff like animal friendship and speak with animals, so now your cleric can hug squirrels as well. Good fun. Speak with animals is actually a pretty useful spell to gather some information, depends on the intelligence of the animal, and your dungeon master will hate you for making him or her RP every possible animal out there. You get bark skin and spike growth. I quite like spike growth actually. It has a nice radius, the damage is okay because the damage is per step they take in the spike growth. It's not like if you start your turn in spike growth, take X damage. No, every step you take through the spike growth is damage, and that's fun. Plant growth and wind wall, dominate beast, grasping vine into rounding up. You have insect plague and tree strike. Now tree strike is a really good teleportation spell because trees are everywhere. Insect plague does damage. Some of these spells are niche. Dominate beast, you need a beast. Plant growth, well, you need plants. Well, most places have plants, of course. You can create some very difficult terrain as long as you're outdoors. You know, in a dungeon, this is not going to work. And that's going to be the gist of this subclass. They have some really great utility as long as you're in a nature-heavy setting. If you're adventuring in Mount Doom, this is not going to work so well. Neither will Tree Stride at that point. And this trend will continue with some of the feature. But for now, so the spell list, it's good. Well, it's good according to the rule that it gives you a lot of spells from a class that you are not. But quite a few of the spells are very niche. I have never found the use for bark skin in my setup. I know it just sets your armor class to 16, I think it is, but maybe if you want to help a wizard or whatever, but 16 is easy to obtain, so I've never found the need to cast bark skin. Oh well, you have it, might find a use for it. You also get, seeing as you're an acolyte of nature according to your first level feature, you gain 1 druid cantrip. There's a few nice selections there. You can take Druidcraft to make the leaves rustle. You can take Thorn Whip to yank stuff all the way over to you. There's some fire spells out there. There is also the spell that nobody can pronounce, Shillelagh, the one that allows you to use a bonus action to turn a stick you're holding into a whopping D8 based on Wisdom attack weapon. This is fun. This in combination with what's it called, Divine Strike that you get at level 8 actually gives you a melee option, because usually, I've said it before, I think, that Divine Strike, the level 8 feature that enhances your melee attacks for clerics, is kind of meh, since not that many clerics are going to buff their strength or their dexterity up to high numbers. But this one can attack based on the wisdom thanks to Shillelagh, so hitting stuff will be a lot easier. So your Divine Strike option actually might have this niche use if you need a certain damage type, we'll get to that later, or if you really just have to punch something in melee combat. At least you have an option here. You also gain proficiency in one hippie skill, being animal handling, nature, or survival. And you also gain heavy armor. You know how druids cannot touch metal? Clerics don't give a rat's ass about that. They will wear all the heavy armor they can get with a shield. So here you are, the plant-growing tank rolling towards the defilers of nature. I don't mind, I love heavy armor. Your channel divinity is niche. It works with animals and plants. You can charm animals and plant creatures. Not just any plant, but plant creatures. You can't animate plants. When it's charmed by you, it's also friendly to any creature you designate. So that's kind of fun. As I've said, this is niche. If you're playing something like Tomb of Annihilation, where you roam the jungle for the first X levels, yes, this is going to be a decent feature. There are some animated plants, and there is some wildlife in there that wants to kill you, so this'll work. Again, if you're dungeoneering 24/7 underground and fighting kobolds and dragons, a completely useless feature. And that is going to be the gist of the entire subclass, somewhat. So it's a fun but niche ability. At level 6, this is actually a good one. You can dampen elements. It's a bit like absorb elements. As a reaction, you can grant resistance to a creature within 30 feet of you, including yourself, that is about to take acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage, and you can use your reaction to give them resistance. There's no limit to this. It uses your reaction, but there is no, I don't know, wisdom times a day or proficiency modifier times a day attached to this. You can do this every turn. It has a wide enough range of damage types that it will be useful, even if it's only for fire and lightning and thunder. You know, you will encounter something elemental along the way. This feature will be useful within its 5 damage types. So yeah, against normal attacks, melee attacks, less useful. Against dragons, probably quite useful. Against the elemental plane, very useful. So niche, but good within its niche. There we are, Divine Strikes at level 8. I've already explained this feature. When you whack something, you can add another d8, and at level 14 you can add 2 d8s. Usually you gain 1 damage type. This one gets to choose between cold, fire, or lightning damage each time they strike. So this is an excellent thing to circumvent some resistance or exploit a vulnerability. The fact that you can deal fire damage on melee strikes allows you to kill trolls badly. Oh no, the party doesn't have a fire wizard or whatever. I don't care, my Shillelagh stick that works on wisdom now hits for additional fire damage. Whack! Gone is the regeneration. So again, niche but useful. You don't want to be melee attacking all the time, but when you do, you can choose your damage type and it might be useful. That is great. And then at level 17, Master of Nature. You would think that this allows you to, I don't know, summon a horde of wild boars, but no. Any creature that is charmed by your Charm Animals and Plants feature, you can now use a bonus action to verbally command what those creatures will do on its turn. Again, excellent within its niche, but so niche. If you happen to walk into a pack of wolves, which at level 17 is not a problem, you just smack them away. But if you would happen to walk into a pack of big level 15 wolves and you manage to charm them, You can now command them, which is excellent. Suddenly you have an army. Really good, but so very niche. And that, in conclusion, is this entire subclass. You are going to have a lot of benefits from this subclass if you play it in the right setting. Tomb of Annihilation, anything else that is forest creature plan based, or at least has a large presence of that type of terrain. You don't need to be in the forest all the time, obviously, but if you know the campaign is going to be the desert, don't count on finding any charmed or awakened plants. Maybe an angry cactus if your DM is in a funny mood, but that's it. So this, really good at what it does, but what it does needs to be encountered. There you are. And that's our two subclasses for today, ladies and gentlemen. Nature and Light. Actually, this is the first time I think that none of the subclasses are necessarily bad. Nature just needs the right niche, which is good. Actually, the Cleric has very few very bad subclasses. Most are okay, but some of them are niche, like Knowledge Domain last time. Also not bad, but very niche. So I hope we can continue this trend the next time when I deal with more Cleric subclasses. Hopefully I'll see you all again in 2 weeks in the Attic Dungeon.